wanted to talk about this area. Have a look around. You've got to understand, people sling judgment. It's easy to do from your high horses when you don't understand the situation until it happens to you. Now, growing up here, helplessness, feeling stuck. Do you feel stuck within your own life? What it is we don't have the solutions to the problems. We don't have the guidance, the step-by-step role modeling that we once saw from our parents, our role models, people of value, and then people will sling judgment. I see this kid once that had 30 cars in 1 week that he had stolen, got locked up, come out, and the public, the front pages were writing articles about him. That was me as a kid doing the same thing. But you've got to understand, validation, because my parents didn't love me, got me out on these streets, brought cars into this area to make sure I was valued by somebody. Seeking to understand that situation means that you understand the root cause of the problem and why the person's taking that action. Imagine watering the branches of a tree and expecting it to grow. You've got to water the roots, the root cause of that problem. And for us, you can have a look around here and you see the root cause of the problem. There is no role modeling. It is helpless. You do feel stuck. So if you do have judgment, start to think about how you could actually step in and help the problem with the solution by sitting down and offering that advice to someone who actually needs it. Let's go. If I can, you can. If I can, we can. We're here in Waterloo. This is one of the flats. If you look at this, and anyone that knows, this reminds me of literally a prison block and how it's built. And it's a housing commission area filled with houses, filled with a lack of hope, a lack of direction. A lot of people probably sleeping now. They wouldn't be impressed that I actually woke them up. Literally want to come out and give me an uppercut. But I look around this area and come back, have a look at this, and literally, this used to be a place. Something obviously happened within that place that no longer functions, but perspective is everything. It's easy to sling this judgment. It's easy to just come out and have this conversation, but come and immerse yourself in this area and you understand how hard it is to get out of this area. For me, you know, I've literally been a bit emotional lately shooting this series because I think to myself, oh, like, we didn't, the flats in general and these cameras, it's more about the crimes that happen within this space. People are fearful of areas, but for this area in general, we had no fear. It was normal. I was around other bank robbers. I was around other people that were in jail. It was totally normal. So our perspective was that we were safe. But for other people, this area is unsafe. Mount Druitt or these areas back in time that used to be really bad and have no one walk through because you'd be assaulted or robbed or something of that nature. You've got to understand, how can you shift the perspective and help one of these young kids, because they are just young kids that are growing up in this area, and give them the opportunity that you had within your life, the right role modeling, the values, morals, beliefs that they actually build into themselves because of their parents or someone of value. Sometimes we don't even have that person of value in our life. A lot of the kids in this area lose their parents to crime, drugs, both sides, their mother and father, and therefore grow up maybe with their auntie, their grandmother, someone of substance. And sometimes that ends up in destruction itself, where they end up abused in that situation, if it is a male or female. And it's just a sad, you look around and there's a lot of helplessness and a lot of destruction. I look in here and I remember times where a lot of bank robbers, a lot of people that did crime, a lot of people that I did jail with were the role models and were the people that we looked up to. So you got to understand, if this doesn't resonate with you for whatever reason, you've got to understand that sometimes you've got to shift your own perspective. You might not grow up in Waterloo, Redfern, Glebe, one of these areas, Mount Druitt, Penrith. I'm thinking about all these areas where these kids, Campbelltown, struggle to see it from a different perspective because they wake up at 12 o'clock in the day and that is a normal bunch of behaviour. Until we're able to see something differently, which means maybe one of you out there has the ability to just sit down for a moment with the parents and just not judge them, not point a finger at them, but actually give them some advice that allows them to see through a different lens into the world, which then filters down into their kids. And what's that worth for that kid to go out on the street and actually live their dreams? Because I know as a kid, when I grew up here, Top Gun was out at the time actually, and I wanted to become an Air Force pilot, and I actually sat the test, but I got knocked back because at that stage I already had a criminal record. If I got into the Air Force at that point in time, I would never have gone back. It was my chance and opportunity, but the Air Force obviously had their own way. And in the end, that just became, you know, a dream I wish I had. How many other kids, how many other people wish they had a different dream from here? You could actually step in and help that solution, but also you could help yourself when you think from a different lens and perspective around what you don't know. Stepping into some coaching, mentoring, guiding with someone who has value that could teach you a new thing that allows you a different way of life and a different way of stepping in to be everything that you wanted to be, the person of your dreams. And if I can, you can. I'm down here in Waterloo and I wanted to share a bit of a story with yourself. You ever put together a furniture pack from IKEA or somebody where you don't have the instructions? Imagine doing that over and over and over again. The frustration, the angst every time you got that box and you're like, oh, not this again. That was us waking up every single morning without a plan, without structure or discipline to the life we want, without the step-by-step to get us to the life we want. Understanding that when you get into a position where you have family and community services in an area around all housing commissions, and understanding that whole situation means that you understand that a lot of these people don't have the step-by-step process to be a better person. When I say a better person, to not destroy their own life and organically impact other people's lives. We didn't want to hurt people, but we also grew up in an area where there was a lack of hope, a lack of direction, a lack of value from our role models. Sometimes our role models weren't even there. Both our mother and father are in jail, taking drugs, yet we'll sit down and we'll judge this person who doesn't have that step-by-step process to put together that furniture pack. And when you understand that, you can start to go, wow, this is, to me, you know, an understanding that I could actually play a role in helping somebody make a better choice and see through a different lens and change the perspective on an area that they've grown up where normal is abnormal. And yeah, once you understand that, if you were accepting abnormal but you want normal, you really got to ask or sit down and be in proximity to someone who's going to teach you something new. And that means that they'll give you the instructions to that furniture pack and you're able to put that together. And that's just an easier way of life, and that's what I was able to do. Proximity was everything. When we grew up here, this building, I'd come and meet bank robbers, people that were committing crimes. And I think to myself, going back to that step-by-step process, the only thing they were teaching me was how to make money illegally, because that was the proximity of this area and that's what it was all about. If I was around business people, which I now am, I'm able to see or be taught different things and values that I never got from my parents, my role models. I look around here and I just think, you know, how many people would love that step-by-step process that you've learned and you've earned from someone of value, maybe your parents, your grandparents, businesses. We just don't get that in this area. So maybe pause for a moment, maybe offer some assistance, and maybe sit down for 2 seconds, because as much as you give back to them, you actually learn a lot about yourself. And that was a huge journey, how I transitioned from being broke into a 7-figure business, from being toxic to being functional. And that changed my life. And if I can, you can too. Let's go.